You got the school, the state behind you, expecting you to play well. So you have to be on it on your job and know your assignments, because you don't want to be the guy that works so hard to get to the top and then you just get complacent and you fall off. Like that's something I feel like when people find themselves in that position, like that's a regret you live with the rest of your life.
Facts. And with all of that, man, definitely hard work paying off. Being a walk-on, then being able to kind of get on scholarship, then becoming a starter your senior season, and then right after the 2018 season, preparing for your pro day, preparing for the National Football League, and being able to be drafted in the 2019 draft. And like I said, Cass was drafted in round 5, pick 157 to the New York Jets. But kind of talk a little bit about just hearing, you already know, man, just that's a dream for any kid. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, with just, of course, a dream is being on an NFL team, getting signed, but hearing your name, that's what I wanted you to talk a little bit about, like how that made you feel from your journey from being a walk-on to everything that you went through, coaching change, and now it's just Blake Cashman, pick 157, New York Jets.
The whole journey, I think, like when I look back at it, like I'm blessed to have that journey, because it's made me who I am. But like you said, it's always kept a chip on my shoulder.
Yep.
And, of course, I was proud of myself and very appreciative of all the people that have helped get me to this spot. But I was actually right here in this room when I got the call. But the whole draft process, man, it's a little bit overwhelming, and it's stressful, because like I was a guy that was projected, believe it or not, like rounds 3 through 6, which is a big range. And to be honest, I'm like, there's no way I'm getting drafted in the third round. If you get drafted in the 3rd round, like, you're expected to play some significant snaps on defense, but be like kind of like a starter that next year. I'm like, there's no way teams see me like that way. But it's hard not to get your hopes up. But I remember watching the draft, and it got to the 3rd day where the 4th round started, and I'm getting calls from teams like Cincinnati was one of them, and they had called me like 4 times, and they said, hey, like, we really love your film. We love who you are as a person. We think you'd be a great fit. You'd be a guy that will excel as a Bengal, but we don't see you as a guy we're going to draft, but we're going to make you a priority after the draft and take care of you and bring you in. You're going to have great opportunity here. I'm like, man, we got 3 more rounds to go, and this is not what I want to hear.
Yep.
And I started receiving a couple other calls like that, and then nothing.
Yep.
Then the 5th round went, and that's when my draft class, that's when the linebackers really started getting drafted. And I started seeing people's names come up, and it was kind of defeating, because I felt like I worked hard and had a really, really good combine. And I'm like, damn, all this work was for nothing. Like I started like having a pity party a little bit, and sure enough, I told my family and friends that were here, I said, listen, like, it's a beautiful day here, spring day in Minneapolis. It's Saturday, like, if I don't get a call in 15 minutes, let's just wrap this up. Let's all just enjoy our day. And literally, I think it was like 13 minutes had gone by, and I finally got a call from the Jets. And they're like, hey, we got the next pick in the draft. We're picking you. Congratulations, New York Jet. And I just remember, like, it was so, like, freeing, but, like, just all this weight was lifted off my shoulder. But then after that, everything moves so quick, and then you're back to work quick.
Facts. That's a dope story, bro. And I feel like I can understand, like, how much of a stress that can probably be of just going through the process, putting the time and effort in, making sure that you're at the top of your game so scouts can see that. And especially when you hear other guys probably getting picked before you, where you feel like, my tape was probably better than him. I performed better than him. But it's a part of the business, but at the same time, you still have to be patient. And that was one of the things that you mentioned, and that's one of the things that we're talking about throughout this journey of just making sure that you're being patient with capitalizing on your opportunity when your time is coming. And I think kind of as we talk about the space that we're in is really the transitional phases. It's the mindset shifts. That's exactly what we're kind of in right now. And we just talked about being drafted, really great blessing, one-of-one type of opportunity. But now I kind of want you to talk a little bit about the transition from college to pros, that speed. So I know you talked a little bit about moving from safety down to, the linebacker position and how that, speed was somewhat of a different change just because action is right there in your face, like very quickly. But we always hear about it, a lot of us that play college football or even younger, just how fast the game is in the NFL. So I kind of wanted you to talk about how that transition was. Was it something that was just kind of a crazy shift, or was it something that you were already prepared for, but the only thing that probably was different was probably just the game speed? But let me not talk for you. I just wanted to set it up for you.
Yeah, it's a great question. And some people find it interesting when I say this. I think the transition from high school to college was harder than college to the pros. Mm-hmm. We kind of talked about it like the University of Minnesota playing at Division I, Big Ten football. Yep. Like that's a stepping stone. Almost nowadays become basically a developmental league to get you to the pros. So, the playbook's bigger in college than it is in high school. The game's faster. Physically, your body's changing so much.
One thing that I was going to mention too, I think one thing that just hit me right now is that the coaching perspective from high school to college. A lot of us at certain high schools we don't have the, I don't want to say resources, but you probably help me, but there's a difference in high school coaching from college. Now, when you talk about college coaching from NFL, some of that stuff is interchangeable because you got college guys going to NFL and you got NFL guys going to college. It's not too many people that are saying I'm going back to high school. Mm-hmm. So that's probably why I think that speed is very, very different, because once you get into college, I'm an athlete, I can do this, but now I'm going against Cashman now. Like, he's an athlete too. So now it's like he come from a different environment that he might have got taught some of the things that I didn't get taught. Mm-hmm. So now we're kind of playing that catch-up game. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly put. Mm-hmm. It's just when you get to the next level, at the professional level, it's the mental part of the game that I feel like increases in the workload. Like, I knew the NFL was going to be a lot more work than college, but I wasn't necessarily expecting to have 10, 11-hour work days on a Wednesday and a Thursday.
Talk about it.
So, like, just the workload was an adjustment, but you got to keep in mind it is a job. It is a profession.
Yep.
And the difference between the NFL and college is, like, there's not much room for error. Like, you don't get a my bad or a redo. In college, if you got 4 or 5 stars, you're heavily recruited, like, and it's taking you some time to figure out like the playbook or learning the scheme. Like, you're gonna get multiple chances.
Yep.
And the NFL, like, if you're a high draft pick, like, you might get a little bit more than some other guys, but at the end of the day, like, teams are going to look to move on. They don't have time to wait on you.
Facts. And, and again, I think this is just a great, you're just a great person to have on the platform, because a lot of this stuff we're going to be talking about is just pushing through adversity, having perseverance.